Today's ep is all about stats. XG, pre-assists, aerial duels.
Yes. I have scored more goals at Selhurst Park than Messi.
That is world class.
Oh my God, he's not just done me. Please.
It's 45.
No way.
Ken, National League. Got XG?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got XG.
System called the threat model. Okay, and it can basically tell you the expected threat of any position on the pitch. And he'd start like sprinting over to get his water, sprinting back. Because he wants to up his distance, up his high intensity runs, so he looks
No
better
way.
on the iPad and the stats.
Saliba-Romero debate.
Yeah.
But Romero's made 50 more tackles.
Yeah.
Why is
That
he-
doesn't mean
yeah,
he's better.
yeah,
That means
exactly.
the team's worse.
Say you're a Sunday League player.
Yeah.
And you go to a club and say, right, this is what I can bring you.
Yeah.
What do you reckon you're going to say? Like,
That's such a good question.
Like, I'm gonna-
Mine would be how many times I mentioned five-a-side. That would be high. That would be real high.
In
yeah.
the 40s, I reckon.
This episode is sponsored by TornSports.com, and I've got a lovely pair of sliders here. Every footballer's dream. What else do they do, Lewis?
They do grip socks, all heights. So,
Nice.
you know, they've got the ankle ones. And they actually do, I don't know, you know, the footballers' trend these days is where they have the little cut in the back of their match day
Yeah,
socks.
yeah.
So they do them as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they do plenty of different socks and obviously sliders. So.
That's sick. Yeah, these sliders are very nice. If you want to grab yourself anything, head over to TornSports.com and get yourself something nice.
What's going on, people, and welcome back to Ball Talk. My name is Noah, and I'm here with St Albans bagsman Ken Charles and Crystal Palace legend, who your uncle's mate, who's got a season ticket, has never heard of. You all right with that?
Wow, yeah, that's fine.
This is one of our insight episodes where we find out everything about the footballing world from these two right here. Today's ep is all about stats, XG, pre-assists, aerial duels.
Yes.
A lot to talk about, but we need to do a quiz first. We haven't done one in a while. And if I remember, you
0-0.
weren't doing great.
No, it's nil. We'll start fresh.
Oh, new season.
I'm unbeaten.
Are you?
Yeah.
We definitely drew one, though. I got a
Still
point.
unbeaten.
I know, yeah.
You got to listen to that. We drew. Right, 5 questions.
What, the stats?
Yeah, that's very true. 5 questions on the most crazy stats in football.
Ooh.
Okay. So, question 1. Which fellow Barcelona player won La Liga Player of the Month before Messi?
Before Messi?
Before Messi ever won Player of the Month?
What, any Barca player?
Mhm.
Okay. Ronaldinho.
Okay.
Iniesta.
Surely they've all won it.
Well, it was Neymar, even though he joined the club much later, because
Wow.
the Player of the Month award only came in September
Oh, wow.
2013.
I knew the question
However-
was rigged in some
Yeah, I
way.
was thinking
However-
like, surely half the team have won it.
He still didn't win it for 3 years.
Who, Messi?
Yeah,
He has enough Ballon d'Ors.
that's the craziness about the stat, guys.
I'm telling you, Messi weren't that good.
Go back and listen to our
starting this
last
again.
episode if you
Yeah.
want to do that. Question number 2. Which Scottish club have a 100% win record against Barcelona?
Celtic.
What's your answer?
Rangers.
Dundee United.
No
They
way.
played them 4 times and they won 4 times.
That's
Wow.
mad.
It was back in like 1958, one of them, but
Okay.
Well,
that's
So
the stat, guys.
0-0.
Question 3. Which German didn't commit a foul for an entire year?
Philip Lahm.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Well, what are we allowing here? Are we allowing both our answer or the first one?
Well, this is what I said. But then you've made me not rush because
No, I think you can both have that. You both
Okay.
got the answer right. You weren't
Okay.
copying him.
I say first one now. And if you get it wrong, you're out and the other person's got time.
Nah, these next 2, you both need an answer.
Okay.
They're numbers based.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
Okay.
You both get a point for that. You both
Yeah.
knew the answer. You didn't copy. That's fine. Question number 4. Jose Mourinho went how many years without losing a home game?
Okay, I've got my answer. Do we say it to get on the same?
Yeah, I'll count down
Yeah,
Okay.
from 3. You say on what would be 0.
okay.
3, 2, 1.
6.
7.
It's 9.
No way.
So I'm closer now.
Yeah,
I'll
Ken,
take that.
closer.
Listen.
Yes.
Yeah, you get that
Yeah.
chance on the next question as well.
Whoa.
That's 2-1,
We both
Ken.
got it wrong there.
It's 2-1, Ken.
Might as well be 10
Question
100 years
5.
off.
Closest wins again.
Okay.
Bas Dost scored how many first touch goals in a row at Sporting Lisbon?
Fucking what?
Mental stat, by the way. Again, I need a number. We'll count down and you'll both say it. Ready?
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
22.
Oh my God, he's not just done me. Please.
It's 45.
No way. These questions are bollocks.
You say that every quiz,
They are
brother.
bollocks.
You say that every quiz.
We changed the rules 3 times
We
during it.
say that every quiz.
Still unbeaten.
Still unbeaten. By the way, 45 first touch goals
That's
in a row.
unreal.
That is fucking
That's
mad.
And only
mad.
5
Fair
penalties.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
So absolute poacher.
Or just first time. That's mad.
yeah, great first touch.
Absolutely. Right. That quiz was bollocks.
Yes.
Are stats the same? What do we think?
Nah.
I don't know. I think I've never been a fan of like. I've always been a fan of just watching a game with the naked eye.
The eye test.
Yeah, and then going off that more than stats.
Mm-hmm.
But that was sort of the early days of stats. The last couple years, 3-4 years, it's almost got to the point where they're analysing absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Like literally every step, every touch, where players are when you're touching it, like absolutely everything. So it's now like, gosh, maybe we just do go off the stats.
Yeah.
Because they're telling the truth in every way.
Kind of have to at some point, don't you?
I think stats are definitely, becoming a massive part of football. I'd say there's a few that are very important and we can't ignore them. Things like goals and assists, especially goals. You can't ignore it if someone keeps putting the ball in the back of the net.
But
because at the end of the day, that's the difference between a loss and a win. And like we'll probably get onto this, but you look at players like Salah right now. This season, he's been a goal and assist machine. Hasn't like been like necessarily your eye test player. Hasn't been like controlling games on his own or anything.
Agree with that.
But every single game he's turned up, scored or assisted, and got Liverpool 3 points. And at the end of the year, they're going to win the title, and it's going to be obviously because of the whole team, but he's going to be a big part of that.
Yep.
You can't turn around and say the stats don't matter.
No.
I'd rather that than someone that looks all good, but doesn't
I
win
get what you
games.
mean. Yeah.
It's like where it started, it would just be like assist goals, like
So are we saying
standard one.
goals and assists are the two OG stats?
They're the two OG, but like without, let's say, pre-assist. Do you know what I mean? Like because you can go deep. I could do an amazing bit of play, set you up, square the ball to you, and you just sky it over the bar and miss an open goal.
Which you wouldn't,
I haven't got an
obviously.
assist, so it's like that's not showing how good I've just played.
Yeah.
Whereas
Well,
I could just give you the little touch Busquets did to Messi.
So that's why even with goals and assists, like I'm still critical of assists.
Take it with a pinch of salt.
Because even assists, like you just said, you can have, like, this happens with Odegaard a lot this season. The amount of chances he's created and they haven't been converted, and therefore he doesn't get the assist for it.
Yeah.
And therefore people look at his stats and say he's not good. If you watched the game, you would have seen that if he goes on a mad run or plays an unreal pass and his striker doesn't finish, it's not his fault. And it goes both ways. I've seen so many assists that people get that count as an assist, and he did nothing. He passed the ball to someone buried it from 30 yards, or someone went on a mad run and scored. That player gets an assist. So even assists I take with a pinch of salt. You could argue the same with goals, but I think
You can argue it. I think all stats are subjective, and you can actually pull stats like we were having the Messi Ronaldo debate. I could pull loads of
any
stats
stat.
to make Messi look 10 times better, and you could pull stats to make Ronaldo look 10 times
Absolutely.
better. So you can manoeuvre him in a way. So it's just all subjective, I think.
Yeah.
Correct.
And that's why it's all bollocks.
All of it.
But the problem is it tries to not be subjective. People use stats almost to say these are the numbers, so this means
The
black
stats
and
are
white.
facts, like a fact,
Yeah,
but
but
to
you have
how
to
you
take-
use
yeah.
it is subjective, because
Yeah.
you're saying
Absolutely.
if someone just got more goals, he's a better striker, and it's not always the case.
Going back to the assist debate, Ange, Tottenham boss,
Yeah.
last week said that assists are the most useless stat in football. He actually said the ball could bounce off someone's ass on the halfway line, the striker scores from there, and he gets the assist.
It's a good accent, that.
Thanks,
Yeah,
mate.
decent.
Is he right?
I agree with him. I mean, assists are
Most
important.
useless stat in football.
I think it's a
That's
useless
strong.
stat.
I don't think he probably just said that. Like, I think he means it's useless. I don't think he means literally the
Is
most
it
useless.
useless though?
I think to a large extent, yeah. Like, I mean,
It depends what you're using it for. Like, it's just
yeah. I mean, I never personally, obviously, I know how many assists I have, but it's not. I don't go every game kind of thinking.
How many you got?
I don't go around like counting my assists or like. Even if I get one, I don't think, oh yeah, that's an assist.
Really?
Like, it's
Bro, I
just-
got 3 at 5-a-side last night, and I'm counting it.
and
You obviously- yeah.
I think it depends on. I mean, if I'm a midfielder, then I think assists are a lot more important as well.
They're kind of all a bit subjective, aren't they?
Yeah.
Let's go through some of the stats that are measured these days.
yeah.
XG. That's probably the most
That
debatable stat in football these days.
I think
just
it's an
pisses me
interesting
off.
stat, but it doesn't mean much. Like, it's interesting to look at the end of the game and say, okay, this was the score, but they had a mad high XG.
Yeah.
That just tells you, okay, they were very wasteful in front of goal today. But that's all.
Yeah.
You don't need to look into it more. It
You can
doesn't
see
matter
that
at all.
from watching the game. can't you?
Yeah, exactly. You can also see that. Yeah. So
I think like they use all these now just to back up their points in terms of like how good what a player's worth, their transfer value, negotiations for brand deal, shit like that.
So you're not.
Why is it XG as well?
Expected goals.
Yeah, but surely it'd be EG.
They've just gone X. I don't
Well,
know.
that's quite good.
Why is it XG?
If you know in
Times
the
goals.
comments, please let us know.
Yeah.
Why is it XG? That's a good question.
Thing is, I reckon it was a midfielder because it's very rare that will be good to know for a striker. I don't think.
Well, there's expected goals.
Like he's XG. Because
No, they look at it a lot to see. So let's say a striker scored 20 goals, but his expected goals are 30. That means he's had a lot of chances
Exactly,
and he wastes a lot. If a striker scored 20 goals and his expected goals was 12, you know that's a clinical striker.
But does a
So it does
striker
get
really?
used.
Would you prefer that as a striker? Wouldn't you just prefer to know
what's
the goals?
better? Yeah.
Because I think it's a midfielder who said, "Let's create XG." Because
assists.
Because all the 40-yard shots
because
they're taking.
yeah, because I'm expected goals. I'm creating all these or expected assists.
It's
Yeah.
a great
Creating
question.
all these assists.
Yeah.
And the
Like,
striker's fucking up.
yeah. I mean, you're right. I'd rather just have more goals regardless of my XG. Absolutely.
There's also XA, expected
yeah.
assists,
Yeah.
I think.
which I feel like is a much harder one to measure.
How are you measuring that?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, no, I know how they
How
measure
do you
it. They're
measure?
looking at. So let's say you pass it to someone
Yeah.
and they shoot. They're looking at the expected goals of that shot. And basically saying,
Yeah,
that's
but
the
doesn't
expected assist.
that count on the ability of the player then as well?
And also,
But this is
the
why
keeper
it's
could make a
this
worldie
is why it's a
save.
problem. Yeah.
And then, your 0.99 XG, well, it doesn't matter because the keeper made a great save.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So you're counting my XG because the keeper had a worldie that game.
Yeah.
Step up your game with Torn Sports. Our Torn Grip socks deliver ultimate grip, comfort and stability for explosive sprints and sharp turns. Pair with Torn sock sleeves, designed to enhance circulation and help reduce injury. For unmatched performance and style, choose Torn. Don't just play, dominate.
yeah.
NPXG,
What the fuck is that?
non-penalty expected goals. So obviously,
yeah.
penalties,
Yeah.
more expected. So you take them away.
Yeah, I think it's all
Just
bollocks.
grow up a bit, no?
I mean,
I don't like to know all of this as a player, but I can understand if you take all the stats into it and combine them all. Then I can understand, do your data nerdy stuff, and then come to a conclusion and back sign up with evidence. Like that's fine. But
Yeah,
it's just going to be too much noise in a player's head.
yeah, I also think it just depends who's looking. Like you said, the players don't necessarily need to know this. If you're trying to sign players or you're a scouting network and stuff, I think these are probably very good stats to look at. And teams like Brentford have shown like their scouting network has used a lot of stats to get players, and they've done very well as a result. Same with Brighton.
Yeah, Brentford,
They
Brighton.
haven't got a huge budget to just say, let's slap 100 million on a player and hope he plays well. It's like, we actually have a tiny budget. Let's maximize it. And they're doing it very well. So for transfers, they can make sense. They can make sense.
I get that. Have you seen Moneyball, the film?
Yes.
The baseball.
Oh, it's such
which
a good
is
film.
all based off
Yeah.
what Billy Bean did, all based off stats. It kind of
Listen,
can make sense.
Yeah, I just think it's too much to have in a player's head sometimes. I think it does make sense if you have all the. Do you know what I mean? You need to have everything.
Yeah.
There was a company called, I think they're called Impact, that would come into, might have been the football club or during my coaching course, and they would tell us what they do basically. And I've got it here. So they'd have a system called the threat model. Okay, and it can basically tell you the expected threat of any position on the pitch and where you should play it next. So they take into account when you receive the ball, the number of opponents behind the goal, like from me to their goal,
Okay.
distance to goal, and the pressure that's on me on my first touch, like what type of pressure it is.
How do they measure that?
So it's actually mad how they did it, and then they can work out expected goals from that position, expected threat from that position, and basically work out which direction, which play would be best.
That's insane. But
It's
is that
mad.
for you, or is that for your analysis people at the club? For
No,
your manager?
I mean no players looking at that. That's more for the analysis, the team, the managing staff.
So then the coach can come in and go, look at that, and your expected threat is too much, and you should have gone right.
When you're receiving it off the left back as a left winger, and the player's up like right really close to you, don't do this. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. But the player wouldn't be looking right. How many players are? behind goal?
yeah, what's my expected threat?
do you need stats to do that though? As in, sorry, do you need a system like that? Isn't that something that the very good coaches can just watch a game and
Maybe I probably
and
didn't
coach that
explain it
into a
too
player?
well, but they it's all like very distance based off the players that are still behind the ball, the players like you to your own players,
Yeah.
to the opponent. So I suppose you can.
That's what I mean. I know what you're saying, but I mean,
They just give the
do you reckon someone like Pep will see this when he's watching the game?
they'll see it, but they won't know 50% chance of
No.
scoring a goal if you go this way.
No, they won't
compared
put
to
numbers.
30, like,
But he will know there's more and
Yeah.
less.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Eye test, baby.
It's a weird one. Has it gone too far for fans, right? Because if it came out that Arsenal, we're signing this left back from the Netherlands, I would look at how many assists they've got as a fullback.
Yeah.
That's
Why?
Yeah, why?
yeah.
I think
it's a great question.
I think fans just like everything's become more gamified, and fans love that. Fantasy football is like massive, one.
Yeah.
And so that's what people go off FIFA. It's just I think that's just the way the football fan culture is going. Like, what's the numbers?
It's also very easy to get a summary of a player without doing real research. Real research would mean going and watching him.
Yeah.
Go and watch his clips. Go and watch
That's very true.
how he's played. He's got a game next week. Let me actually watch it. And obviously, no one wants to do that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's just quick to go. Okay, let's get his stats up. And I think unless you're a striker or a forward, I think you're not going to get much information out of looking at a player's stats. I think, and even as a striker, there's still levels. But I'd say literally, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I literally think the only position on the pitch where there's a stat that literally matters and means everything is a striker. Everywhere else, I mean, you can have stats that don't look great but still be impacting your team in a really positive way.
Yeah, 100%. I think, like you
yeah.
say, it's just becoming a thing for the internet now, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you're doing like a Saliba versus Van Dijk, they've all got the same stats, and you can go, yeah, but the take-ons he's completed in midfield. Do you know what I mean?
That's where it gets pathetic. If
Yeah.
I'm arguing them, I'm not looking at their stats. I'm just looking at.
If you're always debating two players, the first thing anyone brings up is stats now.
Yeah.
Which is
100%.
because it's the only thing they've got.
Stuff like aerial
Because they couldn't talk about the game.
What stats would you talk about as a fan if you're debating Saliba and Van Dijk, for example?
Like, you talk about like how many times they get taken on, tackles won, clean sheets probably.
Are
But
you even
these are
looking
all
at
very.
aerial
So
duels?
some of these are silly because I
Yeah.
remember the Van Dijk one. There was back when he was at his
the take-on,
peak.
yeah.
They were talking about his take-ons. He hadn't been taken on for years. Why is no one looking at the amount of times someone's attempted to take him on 1v1?
Yeah.
That would have also been
or
nearly
pass
none.
it around. Like, you can just pass it around someone.
Exactly. You can make a nice 1-2 around him and he's out of the game.
Yeah.
He's not been
He's
taken.
basically,
That's
but he's not been taken
yeah.
on.
There's also-
Or the fact that centre halves are hardly 1v1.
Yeah.
Hardly.
Also, there's a massive thing of, like, some players like defenders doing more isn't necessarily a good thing. I remember the whole Saliba-Romero debate.
Yeah.
But Romero's made 50 more tackles.
Yeah.
Why is
That
he-
doesn't mean
yeah,
he's better.
yeah,
that means
exactly.
the team's worse.
Yeah,
It's the same with keepers.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
yeah.
Like, keepers, the best stats keepers will be the teams in the bottom of the league.
Yeah, 'cause they're making
getting
save after
peppered every
save,
game.
yeah.
Whereas someone like Edison,
I'm seeing
2 years
Ramsdale
ago,
make like so many saves
yeah.
and still
Yeah.
concede 4 every game. Like it's different. Whereas Raya's not making save after save. Does that mean Ramsdale's better?
Yeah.
It
with
just
defenders, good defenders don't really need to tackle.
No.
A lot of it's interceptions reading the game.
Yeah,
yeah, literally.
absolutely. Ken, National League. Got XG?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got XG.
How much was your XG last night?
I don't know. I haven't checked.
Oh, that's quite
Can
cool,
you check
actually.
that?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
right,
can check those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where does that like come to you? Does it go online?
The same software we use to watch our games back.
Yeah.
All those kind of stats are on there as well,
That's
like
sick.
the possession, the XG, that kind of stuff.
So are you then like going home like, I had 0.76 XG tonight, I didn't score.
You just
Not
drive
really.
yourself
I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's literally. I mean, but the thing is, you know, isn't it? If you had 0.7
Yeah.
XG, that means you know you had a good
Yeah, quite a
chance
good
you didn't
chance.
score.
You just say after the game, I missed the chance.
Yeah. And to be honest, what's interesting that I found is, let's say I miss a decent chance. A lot of the time, the XG is a lot lower than I thought it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what
okay.
tends to happen. Like, I'd be basically more critical of myself
really
than
interesting.
the XG's telling me. Like,
Yeah.
I'd miss a chance and think, that's a decent chance. I should score that. XG's telling me it was 0.3 XG, and it's like, oh, so they're saying I've got a 1 in 3 chance of scoring that.
Yeah.
I would have thought that should be a 1 in 2, maybe
That's
2
really
and 3. So, but that's why it's like maybe it's just too much because I don't think I need to look at that and say, okay, that's fine. I'm happy I missed that. It's not the end. Like, I should be thinking. Like, I think you've played football enough to just know that that's a chance you should be scoring.
Yeah.
That's a hard chance. Keeper's done well there. I don't need numbers to tell me that.
Yeah, also, like you say, if you're coming out and you thought it was a 0.6 XG, but it was 0.2, That makes no difference to you.
No.
You're not going, oh, fine. I can miss it 5 times out of 10.
Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah, literally. You're not
you
going
should score, and that's what you want to do, isn't it?
Yeah, and then I'm not, that 0.2 doesn't make me feel any better about it. It's just like, yeah. At the end of the day, have you scored or not? And if you've not scored, you know, the stats can say I had a 0 XG.
Yeah.
Or it could say I had a 2 XG. I should have scored 2 games, but it doesn't change anything really. It's just, you know.
That makes a lot of sense. What stats do you think there are Sunday League?
Sunday League. There's obviously none, but
Are we just going goals, assists?
That would be
even
good.
assists would be mad. Like people.
I tell you what, stats at Sunday
assists.
League would be good though. That would be funny.
It'd be like
what would you
cigarette smoked at half time?
If you had to go to a club, you're a Sunday League player. Yeah, let's say you're a Sunday League player.
Yeah.
And you go to a club and say, right, this is what I can bring you. What do you reckon you're going to say?
That's such a good question.
Like I'm going to bring you 5 forward passes each half. Based off these stats,
I'd be an absolute pre-assist monster.
Would you?
My whole game was
pre-assist.
My whole game
I
was
love pre-assist.
Get the ball and give it to someone who's better than me. Right? I can hold it, I can calm it down, and then you've got to go and do the actual work. I'm going like pre-assist.
Do they measure that pre-assist?
They should do. I'd need it to.
They'd measure in Sunday League like amount of times you hit someone.
The turnovers would be mad.
Yeah, turnovers
would be crazy. Yeah.
My first touch is missed.
Yeah, first touch is missed. Yeah.
Ball rolling underfoot.
Number of touch tackles.
It'd be shocking. Right, let's go on to training.
Yes.
What stats do you get measured in training? Because you wear your sports bras.
Yeah.
They tell you distance covered and things. Do they tell you anything else?
Yeah, so they go obviously distance covered, sprint distance, which is over a certain speed.
What if you can't reach that speed?
Then it will say 0.
Wow, that's rough, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think every player can reach the sprint.
I think it's 7 sprint distance,
Just
7 meters per second.
Yeah,
or
something like that.
So let me work it out. 7 meters. Yeah, doable.
Sprint distance. Then you have the high intensity runs distance, which is a bit smaller. You got your accels, decels, which is over like a certain speed. Not
what use is that?
So it's all just geared so they can monitor how hard, obviously your heart rate as well. So they can monitor how hard you're working.
Yeah.
Where you're like they'll be able to differentiate between the passing drill, the warm up, the possession and the game.
Yeah.
And it's so they can monitor your like how you're feeling physically, really.
Okay. So they're not saying like, oh, your decel needs to be a bit quicker.
No. No. So decel will just be over a certain amount.
Okay.
And also, I've mentioned this on the floor, but there's before on the pod. There's obviously someone with a live iPad, which can tell you like literally live how hard you're working, what like the speed you're at, etc. But I always think, like, you might come back from a training session and you see on the iPad someone's run, 2-3 kilometres more than me, and his heart rate's gone up a lot higher. But in the game, I could have just been having the ball, popping it around him, and making him run loads. Yeah. So then it's just like, what do you go off that?
Yeah.
It's another reason why stats got to be taken with a pinch of salt. Like, we obviously wear vests in games and stuff, and I've played for different managers where some managers don't care.
Really?
Or like don't really pay that much attention. Some managers really care. Like I remember last season, our manager really cared, and like, let's say we lost the game, first thing he's doing is looking at the stats and just going, yeah, you didn't run enough.
Really?
And we'd always think like, you need to just watch the game and see what happened. Yeah. For example, let's say you've lost a game where you've absolutely dominated the ball and they nicked one and you couldn't score. You're not going to run much in those games because you have the ball. You can win a game because you didn't have the ball and all you was doing was pressing, working hard, and then you nicked a goal. Yeah. Your stats are going to be 11, 12K. Yeah. Doesn't mean you played well. Yeah. Obviously, in that game, you won. And that's all that matters. But the game you've lost, you don't just go, oh, you didn't run enough. That's why we lost. Yeah. Running's important. In general, the teams that run the most win. So I'm not trying to dismiss that. But like you have to just watch a game and use stats in line with what you watched. You can't watch a game and you didn't notice that we weren't running enough. And then go home and see the stats and say, they didn't run enough. You should have been able to see that if you think that was the problem.
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
I think the top managers sort of do it in a way where they felt a certain way about the game. Like they thought, we're not playing well, we're not doing this right. And then they go to the analyst and say, can you back this up with stats? And then that's when they'll present it with the team. So it's like, you're guys, you're not doing this right. You're not working hard enough in these areas. Look at the stats to back it up. Instead of just looking at the stats to make your opinion.
That's what makes the most sense. You've formed your opinion and you just need stats to back it up. Yeah. Just to make your argument stronger so the players can literally see what you're talking about. Whereas you can't just lose a game, you don't know what went wrong.
Right, you only ran 9K.
Yeah.
No, mate. The thing is though, especially when I was a scholar, and it goes on in the first team as well. Especially when you first start wearing the vests and you know they're tracking your distance. I'd see players that let's say the session had just been finished or it's in between, you're getting a water break, and he'd start like sprinting over to get his water, sprinting back. Because he wants to up his distance, up his high intensity runs, so he looks better on the iPad and the stats.
Both doing high knees in the toilet.
I swear to God, this would happen. And then even picking up the cones after the session, bang, get the one cone, bang, get the other. And I'm thinking, just done more distance in them 3 cone runs than he did in the session.
That's
what I was going to say. Why don't you just run more in the session?
Yeah, but I know, but they just thought play the session and then they do the. I've known players to do that.
That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the distance covered, I get it, of course. But let's say your defensive line, you're playing 5 at the back, moves as a really good unit. You're not gonna be doing that much running, are you? You're gonna be shuffling to the side, bit back. Do you know what I mean?
I think in the modern game, you'll be running loads anyway. I think. I just think you can't.
Yeah.
The distance covered, they'll never look at it and be like, "Fucking hell, he's not run at all."
Yeah.
Unless you've not played a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think.
And it'll be so obvious if you're not. And then the stats would just back it up. I don't think you'd miss it. And then the stats would tell you something very different.
I'd like to go back and look at Andrea Pirlo's distance covered. Because that man was centre circle.
He would still cover
only.
distance.
Yeah, he was similar to,
his high speed running would be very low, but his overall distance would be.
People used to call me a plodder at Crystal Palace because I'd get
Pirlo plodder.
I'd get loads of distance, and my excels decels would be a lot. But
your heat map is one big circle.
But it'd just be the sprint distance. Be in games I just never used to sprint.
Yeah.
Or the high intensity runs wouldn't be high.
Yeah,
But I'd get the top distance in the team every time.
Yeah, easily. That's what I'm saying. Pirlo could cover distance.
Really?
Yeah, you wouldn't you'd be surprised.
You don't need to.
But it's just they're not running. Because they're not running fast. You think they're not running, but they're actually always moving.
Yeah.
Whereas your sprinters might go on a 20 meter sprint.
Yeah.
In behind, action done, and then they sort of jog back, start walking a bit, and then sprint again.
Yeah.
Whereas those players are on the move for the whole game pretty much, so they actually cover a lot of distance.
How much in detail do they go about your stats? Do they actually speak to you, the club?
No, they send it to us.
Yeah.
So at St Albans, they're not that we get them, and there's not much.
But what stats do you get? Just the standard goals, assists, clean sheets.
Yeah. Were you talking about stats or GPS or both?
No. So forget the physical stuff, the pit.
We get all of them sent. Even duels 1, aerial duels 1.
You got anything?
Interceptions, tackles.
Can you get anything out?
Probably.
The ones I wrote down the ones we used to get at Palace, right? That are away from the physical. So we used to get passes completed, but you'd have different for each direction. So if it's a forward pass, sideways pass, backwards pass, you'd have different for distances of the pass. So it'd be in categories of if it's a really short pass, long pass, medium pass, and the location on the pitch. So they can tell if you're making more successful passes in the top left of the pitch compared to the bottom right.
Really?
We'd have obviously number of touches. Where your first touch goes is an interesting one, especially as me for a centre mid. It'd be if I'm always receiving it off the back 4, and my first touch is always back, they'd be able to tell that. They'd have the stats for how many times I do that.
That's really interesting.
Obviously headers, tackles. Big one for me, line breaks. I used to like that one.
A line breaking pass.
Just if you broke a line with the pass, which is probably the one I'd like to look at the most.
Yeah.
Because that's what my job was really.
Yeah.
Keep possession, losing the ball, and in situations you struggle and do well in as well.
Wow.
So if there's a repeat situation you're struggling in, for example, getting it off the keeper, or in the top left corner when you've got pressure, they'd have the numbers that you've struggled in them.
What would, be honest with yourself, what would yours be where you struggled?
Where I struggled?
Yeah. Nothing.
I don't know. To be fair, I'd probably say, as a centre back, if it was a big striker, I'd say goal kicks into me.
Okay, losing the aerial duel, right? Yeah.
Or just not winning it. Centre backs, you need to be winning them every time.
Yeah.
And if it was a big lump, especially as I was under 17, 18, I wouldn't win it every time.
Fair.
Because I was playing against big guys,
Yeah. Ken?
What, the stats?
Yeah.
Do you have any?
Yeah, so this is how they come up.
It looks very detailed.
Yeah, no, it's fairly detailed.
Wow.
You just get possession.
Just give us 5.
5 what, different stats?
Yeah, I don't know, over a certain time
Obviously,
period.
possession, pass accuracy, duels win rate, pressing intensity.
Is this a view individually?
This is the team, and then they go into individual. So this is both teams.
Yeah.
And then if you keep going, they break them down. And
Can you give us 3 of your individuals?
Right, let's
And
find
the
my
actual-
name.
Pressing intensity. You like for someone who's
It's
not
like, how do
in
you
the
measure it again? Yeah.
analytical world of football. How do you measure that?
Yeah. I mean, they have
isn't it?
analysts for absolutely everything these days.
Yeah.
Like, you obviously have analysts for your own team, obviously your own team, individual players, the opposition you're playing next week as a team, as individuals. You'll have analysts, like freelance analysts, just for every single team in the league, just for transfer targets.
Crazy,
Like, it's
isn't it?
actually mental.
It's gone woke.
Yeah, it's gone. You even have analysts for staff targets.
What?
So if a club wants to get a new coach in,
Yeah.
they'll have people like who are analysing different coaches, how well they do with certain styles compared to their players.
That is mad.
Yeah, you need that.
It's
That's
mad.
crazy.
Go on, Ken. You got any?
Yeah, so this game, defensive duels won 2 out of 2.
Was this yesterday?
Nah, this ain't yesterday.
Oh,
This
right.
is like a couple of
Boom.
weeks ago. Offensive duels won 4 out of 9. Aerial duels won 3 out of 4.
Good.
Nice.
What else we got?
So they basically, it's quite clear then. I suppose.
Dual winning monster.
Dual winning monster.
Ken
Yeah.
Charles.
Nah, that was probably a good game of mine when it comes to duels. And then obviously you've got your XG. I had like 0.2 in this game.
Did you score?
Does it ever?
Nah.
Does stats ever? Have you ever thought about during a game anything to do with stats, and has it ever made you change how you play?
More recently, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just always there. I'm always thinking. So
I don't think that's a good thing, man.
probably
No,
not.
I think it might be.
It's like the thing I said with doing extra sprints for no reason. It shows it's on your mind.
Yeah, but I think that's a certain type of person.
That's mind
I don't think
capacity.
Ken's running to the toilet to get more steps in.
No,
you know what
no,
I mean?
No, but he
definitely
might
not
be
doing
like
that.
thinking. I don't know. He might be thinking like,
It can
I
be
can
an
get an.
incentive.
Yeah, it can
If you
be.
gamify it yourself, like, oh, I've done 5 duels, I've only won 2.
I think
This hold up play isn't really going to show on stats, so you take less care. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah,
you
I
know,
do
like
know
the
what you mean.
assist, instead of holding up and setting back, let me try and get an assist.
But I think if that's the kind of player that you are and you're thinking about that, you're not going to make it.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I definitely wouldn't think about it anywhere near like that where I'm like,
Yeah.
because that's ridiculous.
or like if you score, you just think yes, extra goal.
no,
no.
you
Because
know.
I would love that. And I
Yeah.
think that would.
But
make
there's
it 10
definitely,
times better.
I'm more aware of duels now, for example.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I
Like
mean.
maybe before I'd seen those stats.
Yeah, that stuff is good.
I didn't. So
You're
in
not
that
thinking
way,
about it like it's almost like a wait in between games. You say, right, these are over the last 3 months we've noticed you need to improve your duels or something like that.
yeah, I think that can definitely help a player.
Yeah.
because you can look at your weaknesses from those stats. Like there's a lot of weaknesses you wouldn't even know,
Yeah.
I think that's good.
and then those can help you.
Yeah.
And as a striker winger, you might not be thinking like about your defensive.
No,
duels.
you're just thinking how many
But
did
then when
I
you get it
score?
through, you're like, oh, decent. Do you know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
that's good.
If I was a manager, I'd probably get a bit obsessed with stats. I'd probably
I
go.
would.
I'd probably go Moneyball.
Yeah.
I would. I think if you do it as a manager, you'll have
But
more
you'd have
chance
to
of
do
success.
locked in with it. You can't
Yeah.
just like half-half.
No,
because then
yeah.
you go in. It just
Yeah.
But I'd love that. That would change my life. I think.
Nice. Give it to
But
him,
I'd be in the bar.
Listen, if
like,
there's-
bang, 2 defensive duels.
if there's any uni students that are sort of like in the stat game,
Yeah.
Yeah.
go to one of Noah's father sides
Correct.
and just start building the stats up for him.
Yeah. Get me on the transfer market.
Yeah. There
See
you
what
go.
we can do. Speaking of transfer market,
Yeah.
I think we need to take goals and assists off the table here.
Yeah.
Because they're standard stats. They are very useful.
Yeah.
Are stats used in contract negotiations / transfers?
Yes.
So are we saying, well, actually, Ken's had 12.6 XG this season and he scored 13, so he's outperformed it. Is that getting used?
Yeah, all stats first of all will get used. I think, especially in today's game with like transfers, but even stuff like contract negotiations,
Yeah.
all that stuff. But even stuff like brand deals and stuff like that.
What?
So I spoke to a company that basically does all this, measures all their stats, and
Yeah.
helps footballers and agents get better deals for clubs and better deals for their own personal brand.
Yeah.
And
Mad.
they explained everything they sort of do for a player, and I'll tell you now. So they obviously have the player stats, but they can have like player stats with different partnerships, for example. So like, what's Gabriel's stats with Saliba compared to Gabriel with Ben White?
Okay.
Stuff like that. They obviously have the time period, but they have Google search volume for different countries, different times of the day, different months.
Can I pause you just there? I thought you meant like Oral B have come in and said, what's his aerial duels? Because we want to work with him. You mean
No.
like stats about real life, not football?
Yeah, stats, but both.
Right,
both.
I see.
Yeah, not like that. So about their like personal brand and stuff
The
like that.
Googleability and
So
stuff,
like
yeah.
all the social stats,
Yeah.
individual social media where
Yeah.
like the mentions, when they go up, why they go up,
Sick.
social tags, uploads, how many times they're actually uploading. how it ranks and compares basically to the location and compared to the other footballers.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
imagine if you can go to Nike or something, or someone, whoever, and say, this is the traffic I bring in, and it's spiked up now, like compared to this other person you've got. They'll use that.
Mad.
Yeah, and then also it helps calculate future earnings and like contract potential, basically.
Makes it better for them.
So you can sort of say, right, this is where it's planned to be in 2 years' time.
All of that almost makes more sense than some of the football stats.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's directly linked
That company,
to
by the
money,
way,
isn't
is ProStack Data. I'll shout them out.
Pro-stat data.
Yeah.
it? They definitely need to use stats if you're like trying to do brand deals with
Like,
players and stuff.
they just track your personal
like,
brand
it doesn't
performance.
matter how good you are at football if no one cares about you as a personal brand. You're not going to make any money by giving that player a brand deal.
Yeah.
Imagine if on your stat sheet after a game they start saying only 6 people have Googled you today, Ken, so not good enough.
Yeah, literally.
That'd be rough. so we're kind of saying it maybe has gone a bit too far. Was it better back in the day when 2 old boys would go to Rotherham versus Huddersfield with a clipboard and get their data from there?
You know what? I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
I'm just because it's there is the benefits of it, and I just don't think you should
Overanalyze.
Overanalyze as a player. Although I know now from some players that will go in and all they're talking about, they spend sometimes more time with the analysts than they do the coaching staff because they're just saying, how do I get if I'm an attacking player, like James Maddison, I remember he said it. He's like, I'm an attacking player, but I need to get my numbers up. He'll go in and just speak to the analyst, say, right, how can I get more goals and assists? What do I need to do? He's not asking him how to play football. He's just saying, what do I need to do statistically to get more goals and assists? So,
and the analyst can say something that he's not figured out.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like dropping back on a corner, the ball's normally coming out. And there's loads of things that can help it.
yeah,
But you need to not overdo it.
as from the playing side.
Yeah.
The staff,
I think the staff
fill your
is
boots.
going, literally. I think
Because
there's no way
everything's covered now.
like
Everything.
You just said two blokes going with a clipboard to watch a game. They're gonna miss stuff.
Yeah.
Like you're watching, but you're gonna get caught up in a conversation. You're gonna get missed. You can't watch 22 players at once.
Yeah.
You know, you're probably more attracted to where the ball is, but you might look at someone else. Let's say you're watching a centre half, how he is when the ball's in the other end of the pitch, but then you're missing what the strikers are doing.
Yeah.
So you're gonna miss stuff.
Yeah.
The stats are definitely helping coaches and
Stats
clubs
and analysts,
and analysts to basically not miss a single thing. Plus, with the eye test, you get a well-rounded sort of view of a player.
Yeah.
I think from a player's perspective, you don't want too many. I think you need the main ones, and then small things like duels, distance run, those kind of things. You need to know that you're doing the right things.
Yeah.
You're not well below average on that. After that, as a player, I don't think you need to know much. And then with fans, that's probably where it's gone too far.
Yes.
Just because if we're debating football,
Online
talking,
arguments,
like, we don't need to be bringing up how many duels
Free
are centre
assists,
half. That's probably where it's gone too far, and that probably gives people the impression that stats have gone too far, but they haven't. They serve a purpose.
Yeah.
It's just that we talk about stats offline way more than we need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely get
There's
that.
probably more analysts in a club than any other position. I think that's the biggest department.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that does make sense. What we need to do for a video idea, real life video idea, we're going to go to one of Ken's games.
Yeah, that's in the works.
And we're going to put ourselves up against the online data.
Yeah.
So we're going to go like old school scouts.
Yeah.
And we're going to
Try and
record
see what
by eye, take on to completed, aerial duels.
Just for Ken.
Just for
you'd only be able to do one
and
player.
we'll come back in the studio and go against what he gets sent
That'd be interesting.
from the data company.
And then we'll say what Ken needs to improve on.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
You done this wrong, Ken, mate.
a lot. Right. If you could add one stat into football that would make you seem better, what would it be?
I mean, I don't think there's one more to add, but
You said line breaking.
yeah, but I mean, they're already in football.
Yeah.
If
Something else.
Yeah, every stat's in football.
Like, that's what I mean. I'd say my favourite stat would be line breaking, but
Yeah.
it's obviously already in football.
I want something weirder. So mine would
on.
be getting out of a pressured situation.
Okay.
Right. So if I've
You
got a
good at
player
that?
on,
Evading pressure.
I'm the old Jorginho.
Yeah.
Doesn't do
Nice.
anything naughty, but little shoulder drop and he's out.
I rate those players.
Or getting rid. A hold up player, but keeping the ball under pressure would be my stat.
I'd like to know, probably, again, they could all be tracked, but I'd like to know maybe how many touches I have with my weak foot.
Oh, interesting.
What do you think yours would be decent? You saying, or you
I'd
just
like to know.
like to know?
Yeah.
Or like completed passes compared to strong foot, weak foot, or something around that.
Interesting.
But again, they're all tracked now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of one that wouldn't be tracked.
Or how many times I spoke during a game. That might be good.
That would be good.
That would help me. I probably don't talk enough.
How much shit you talk to the defender?
How many times did I
swear? yeah. How many yellow cards you got? That's tracked. Crazy football stats we've spoken about.
Yeah.
You didn't like them.
The crazy football?
The crazy football stats questions, or was that just because
you
lost
the
quiz?
Just because I lost the quiz. I didn't like the rules.
I quite, but like the Bastos one, 45 first touch goals in a row.
That's special.
Insane, isn't it?
It is insane, that.
What would be your most insane stat that people would go, oh shit? Would it be like you've run 16k? Would it be?
No, my stat is
400 touches.
This is going back to, obviously, stats can be misleading and subjective. But
yes.
I have scored more goals at Selhurst Park than Messi.
That is world class.
That is such a good stat.
That is world class. Say it again.
It's true.
Say it again.
Listen, Messi hasn't scored at Selhurst. He can't do it, but I can.
That is a world class stat.
But that's what I mean. You can literally, all stats are like bollocks. That's what makes you think they're bollocks. Because
I know what you mean.
Because I've just made, like, obviously that looks great.
Without
on me.
proper context, it's like, wow.
Where's
like,
the context?
Yeah.
There's none.
It's like, well, he's better than Messi.
Yeah.
You saying he's not?
I mean, he thinks Messi's the best ever, so he probably.
Are you better than Messi? Yes or no? Right, last question.
No comment.
Last question. Do we need an analyst for this podcast?
Yeah, that'd be great.
What would our stats be?
Our stats would be
pod?
like the amount of time Noah stuttered.
Yeah, a lot.
Again, the misleading stats would be we are the #1 football podcast that is hosted by an ex-footballer and a National League footballer and a presenter.
Yeah.
Correct.
Exactly.
But you leave out the last bit.
But the other bit's small print.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to add that.
We're just the #1 football podcast.
Yeah.
It's mad.
Yours would be how many times you spoke about John Stones.
Yeah.
That would be a high stat for you.
What do you reckon the number is there?
Out of how many pods have we done?
XG.
We've done about 50 this season.
50. You've mentioned John Stones 28 times.
That's a lot. Do you think that many?
Yeah.
28 different pods, probably.
Yeah.
That's
what would
mad.
yours stat be, Ken?
I don't know. What do you think?
How many times he said Ronaldo was better than Messi?
How many times he believed it? 0.
Yeah. Mine would be how many times I mentioned five-a-side. That would be high. That would be real high.
In the 40s, I reckon.
I'll tell you that.
What other stats can be, like, or just on the misleading and subjective ones?
Yeah.
I know we spoke about it a little bit, but is there any you'd come up with?
I think it's a bit like...
What, for the podcast?
No, just for anything.
Football, anything.
What about, like, life stats? Like,
oh, yeah.
Like, you're getting married now. Or are you married? You're getting
I'm
married.
engaged.
So it's like, how good of a husband is he? Life stats.
That'd be fucking...
So it's like
unreal.
Dishwasher cleaned one in 7 days.
Once a day.
Once a day. So that's great.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think, if you went on lifestyle stats, I'm the perfect house husband.
Really?
Yeah. I do work from home, which makes it easier, but...
Yeah. They should bring stats into
That would
everything,
be
man.
good.
Fuck it. Why
What would
not?
be your high
probably are
lifestyle?
stats
What
into
would be your
everything.
high lifestyle stat?
I would be... I don't know if this is a stat, but I keep things very clean and tidy.
Yeah.
So I'm a clean guy.
Yeah.
Is that a good
I
stat?
respect that.
Yeah.
Mine would be a good one for me. How many podcasts I listen to
Really, just listen to a lot.
over music?
But that's less time with the family.
No, stuff them. They're out and about doing.
Do you do that whilst you're at home?
Yeah. Because
Okay.
I work from home. Sometimes I don't like to have the TV on.
Yeah, but like,
I
okay,
like to hear
you're
stuff.
doing something. Yeah, because I'd always be doing something whilst I'm listening to a podcast.
Yeah, me
like
too.
maybe driving or...
Hoovering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
walking. I do it when I go for a walk.
Yeah.
Jewellery worn. You could have quite a good stat for that.
Yeah, Ken's got some good jewellery worn numbers.
Drip.
Yeah.
Dripped out. How often was Ken dripped out?
Yeah. Amount of times I've worn this outfit. A lot. I wear it every time we do this.
Is that the nude hoodie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is indeed.
Shout
Are you
out.
sponsored?
This guy, man.
Not yet.
No, I mean, you wear it often.
Yeah, but I don't mean I'm sponsored.
What
it
a
could
good
be.
one, like how many like
They can,
takeaways
though.
you've ordered. That would be a good one.
Yeah, money spent on takeaways.
How many glasses of water you've drunk? I'd like to know if I'm in a good range.
Yeah.
I just,
Ken, your football one could be like you've won the same amount of trophies as Premier Leagues as Steven Gerrard.
I've won more than Harry Kane.
You've won more than Harry Kane.
More trophies.
Yeah, you've won more trophies than Harry Kane. That's facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't argue that.
mine could be I've won more Best Midfielder of the Year trophies than who's not won a Best Midfielder? Who's not been in the like PFA Player of the Year?
Already gone?
Yeah, there you go.
Should we leave it there?
Absolutely, yeah.